They were watching a routine patrol feed when the stars vanished. Not dimmed, vanished. Sensors on Velker's spine, a Concord observation station above the neutral corridor, shorted out without warning. Commander Aliv scowled at the blank holoscreen. Diagnostics. No, he barked. The tech crew scrambled. No answers. No power surges. No impacts. Just empty space where starlight had been. Then the feed returned, but it wasn't stars. It was black metal. Thousands of Terran warships appeared in perfect silence, aligned like spear tips across the system's edge. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive plating, sharp-edged and expressionless. No lights. No flags. And no warnings. Before Aliv could speak, the station's comms blared with a single transmission. A woman's voice. Calm. Cold. You left Earth to die. You looked away when the skies fell. Now we return, not with mercy, but with memory. Captain Amara Kell stood on the bridge of the TSS Caldera, her gaze locked on the observation viewport as Velker's spine filled it like a dying sun. The Concord station was beautiful in a way that sickened her, shining spires, perfect symmetry, a monument to a system built on silence. She'd seen it once before. From Earth. Through a telescope. Back then, it had looked like hope. Now, it was just a target. Firing solutions locked, her XO reported. No energy weapons. Strict kinetic. Amara nodded. They'll expect lasers. Give them physics instead. Station crew? Non-essential systems only. Let them live. Let them watch. Years ago, during the quarantine, Amara had watched her sister die outside the sealed medical bay of the New Geneva outpost. She'd screamed into the sky when Concord ships flew overhead, untouched, unmoved. She'd never gotten a response. Until now. Her fleet was born in the bones of that silence. Forged in the dark side of Earth's orbit, built with reclaimed tech, sleepless hands, and memory. It wasn't just a fleet. It was a wound flying. Velker's defense grid activated, too late. Interceptor missiles launched, but the Caldera's onboard AI shredded them mid-trajectory. Seconds later, kinetic rods slammed into the station's outer ring. No explosions. Just silence and disintegration. Armor bent inward like paper, air venting invisibly into space. Aliv's voice came over the emergency line, choked and panicked. This is an illegal action. Identify yourselves or we will. Amara cut the channel. Let him talk to the void. Operation Emberlight is live, her comms officer confirmed. The fleet moved like a shadowfall, black shapes crossing the system in tight formation, disabling orbital stations, cutting power nodes, jamming communications. Not one life was lost, but every Concord eye was gouged out. Within 19 minutes, the entire Velker corridor was blind. Back in Concord space, on the central world of Sereth Prime, High Marshal Tyreth Valon stood in the command hall, watching the feed go dark. Every defense node in Velker's spine had vanished. No alerts. No survivors. No bodies. Just a single word in Terran Common, beamed across all frequencies, remember. A diplomat leaned forward nervously. They say it's a pirate fleet, scavengers. Mercenaries, maybe. Valon stared at the black insignia burned into the last transmission. A crescent of fire wrapped around the stylized Earth. No, he said quietly. That's not piracy. That can't be Earth. Someone whispered. We left them with nothing. You left them with grief, Valon replied. Grief builds weapons faster than fear. On the Caldera, Amara stood alone on the upper deck, watching the hollow remains of Velker spin in silence. Lights flickered uselessly from fractured solar rings. Emergency drones scurried like ants. Her XO approached cautiously. That was clean. No casualties reported. Amara didn't look at him. They'll still call us terrorists. They called us plague rats last time. She nodded once. And what do they call us next? Later, in her quarters, Amara played back a corrupted file she'd kept for 15 years. It was broken, half static, distorted audio. But her sister's voice still came through. If they won't save us, don't let the world forget us. Be the voice that doesn't die, Amara. She closed her eyes. I'm trying, she whispered. God, I'm trying. Back on Seraph Prime, Valon moved with precision. Activate the outer wardens. Re-establish comms through the Argon relays. I want every listening post above Tier 3 armed and shadowed. But they didn't kill anyone, sir, said a junior officer. They could have. They didn't because they didn't need to. Valon snapped. That's the message. He turned toward the war table. We made a mistake. Not leaving Earth behind. But thinking it wouldn't remember. 2 hours after the Velka corridor fell, Amara transmitted a secure pulse across deep space. Buried within the signal were fragments of Concord's own data archives, seized, decrypted, and rewritten. Footage from the Earth blockade. Classified internal messages. Orders signed by Concord leaders to abandon Terran colonies. Medical transport recalls. Suppression orders. It wasn't a broadcast. It was a match. And the stars were soaked in fuel. At the edge of the Velker system, as her fleet prepared to vanish again, Amara stood on the bridge with hands behind her back. Her crew waited. Orders, Captain? She gazed into the dark where Concord space still thought itself safe. They watched us burn, she said. Now we teach them how to count in ashes. The fleet vanished. And the war began. The Council called it terrorism. Earth called it a reckoning. News feeds across Concord space lit up with headlines spun in panic. Unknown aggressors strike Velker, human forces suspected, plague-born return? But the images said more than the titles: silent, deliberate destruction of key infrastructure, no civilian deaths, and one word carved in orbital debris: remember. High Marshal Valon stood at the center of the Concord Security Assembly, flanked by 12 sector commanders and a wall of blinking strategic displays. The transmissions are real, Valon said, voice steady. The attackers were human. No doubt remains. A murmur ran through the chamber. Counselor Eriks, the Cerellian delegate, spread his wings in disbelief. Impossible. Earth was cut off. No resources, no allies. You said they were finished. I said they were quarantined. Valon corrected. Not extinguished. They were dying when we left them, hissed the Karn diplomat. Apparently, Valon said, eyes narrowing. They survived. And they evolved. In the shadow of the asteroid belt orbiting Dairon 3, the TSS Caldera drifted silently, cloaked, hidden among the rocks. Its hull bore fresh scars from re-entry, earned during the Velker incursion. Inside the war room, the Ember Armada's core officers gathered around the tactical display. Captain Amara Kell leaned over the table, jaw tight, eyes focused. We've confirmed full blackouts in 4 Concord systems, her XO reported. Relays disrupted. Patrol fleets rerouted. They're scrambling. They should be, Amara said. We're not done yet. Another officer cleared his throat. Captain, Concord's propaganda machines are active. They're calling us extremists. Spreading plague again. Using old footage. They're doing what they always do, she replied. Controlling the narrative. That's fine. Amara reached for a small case beside her. With a soft hiss, it opened to reveal a crystal data shard, etched with Earth's seal. This is ours now, she said. It's time they hear the truth. 2 hours later, across thousands of systems, the shard's signal was injected into every Concord broadcast relay. It began with static, then sharpened into a chilling image: a Terran woman in black fleet command attire, standing in silence before a shattered Earth flag. Amara's voice rang clear. I am Captain Amara Kell of the Ember Armada. You left Earth to die. You sealed our skies and called it containment. You turned away when the cities burned. We remember every broadcast you ignored. Every transmission you jammed. Now you will hear ours. The feed shifted. Images of quarantined cities, orbital ships refusing evac orders, cries for help, and Concord command logs marked classified, suppress. It ended with a Terran child coughing blood in a dark shelter, whispering, asterisk. Why won't they come? Asterisk. Then the screen cut to black. No embellishment. No threats. Just memory. On Seraph Prime, chaos erupted. Protests sparked on neutral planets. Independent networks began running full footage. Fact-checkers tried to disprove the logs, but even Concord AI struggled. The evidence was airtight and damning. Valon sat alone in his private chamber, eyes scanning a report of riot outbreaks in 7 sectors. Civilian ships refused military orders. Calls for Concord resignation trended across galactic networks. He activated his private comm. Enact Red Protocol, he said quietly. Erase the leak sources. Secure the Ether Archive. Prepare retaliation. A pause. And draft the order for Project Ashfall. Back on the Caldera, the mood was restrained but sharp. The footage had worked. They'd shaken the foundation. But not toppled it. Riatan, the ship's diplomatic advisor, entered Amara's quarters, holding a tablet. You should see this, she said. Amara took the pad. It showed a private message, encrypted, Origin, Concord Embassy on Trinix. Ambassador Roland, Amara read aloud. Requesting a meeting unarmed. Claims he wants to broker peace. Ria folded her arms. Could be bait. Could be real, Amara said, eyes distant. The truth shook them harder than any missile. She tapped the tablet. Send a reply. I'll meet him on neutral ground. They chose a derelict diplomatic station orbiting the gas moon Cassari 5, abandoned during the Concorde's economic collapse years earlier. The air was thin, lighting unreliable, but it was perfect. No eyes. No guns. Just rust, dust, and ghosts. Amara entered alone. Ambassador Roland, an older Thyraxian with pale gray scales and sharp golden eyes, stood waiting. He gave a shallow bow. Captain Kell. You've seen the files, she said without ceremony. I have, he replied. The council buried them. I didn't know. Amara's gaze sharpened. You didn't ask. He winced. I came to offer a resolution, he said carefully. Earth can be granted conditional sovereignty. The council is willing to lift the sanctions. End the hunt. You could return to trade lanes within a decade. A decade? Amara laughed once, dry and sharp. You let billions die, and you offer a bureaucratic leash? I'm trying to prevent war. You already failed. She stepped closer. You want peace? Then try this. Dismantle your military network. Disclose the true death toll. And stand trial for every order that left Earth in the dark. He recoiled. Impossible. Then we're done here. She turned and walked away. That same day, the Caldera jumped into orbit over the Ceridan Relay, a vital Concord nexus for interstellar communication. This time, there were no warnings. Strike teams launched in silence. EMP torpedoes shattered station systems. Boarding crews infiltrated and evacuated Concord tech staff before setting demolition charges. The relay collapsed in a fireless implosion, folded inward and gone. But a miscalculation in the targeting radius led to one critical failure. A refugee convoy had been docked for refueling. 42 lives lost. Mostly non-military. Mostly silent. Amara stared at the report in the aftermath, unmoving. The names flashed across her screen: children, doctors, engineers. Why didn't the Concorde evacuate them? Her XO asked, quiet. They didn't think we'd hit it, Ria murmured. Amara didn't answer. Just closed the file. Later, she stood at the memorial wall inside the Caldera's central chamber, carved with the names of those Earth had already lost. She pressed a hand to it, then added 42 more. Not forgotten. Not excuses. Just memory. Back on Seraph Prime, Valon read the casualty report with thin satisfaction. Civilian deaths, he said to his aide. The one thing the Terrans didn't want. His eyes gleamed. Now we have something to use. The 42 names haunted her. Amara Kell stood in the observation ring of the caldera, her reflection a pale ghost in the reinforced glass. Beyond, the wreckage of the Ceridon relay still drifted, scorched metal, half-fused debris, a silent monument. The refugee ship had never sent a distress call. No one had known it was there. The mission had been precise. Clean. Almost elegant. But the dead didn't care about elegance. Behind her, footsteps approached. Slow. Unhurried. Ria's voice was quiet. You haven't left this deck in 12 hours. I know, Amara replied, eyes still fixed on the void. I can't. We couldn't have known. We should have. There was no anger in her tone. Just wait. Valen's broadcasting the deaths, Ria continued. He's calling it a massacre. He would, Amara said. It's all he has left. Still, it's working. Outer Rim systems are pulling support. Even neutral trade alliances are stepping back. Amara didn't flinch. Then we push forward. Before the silence becomes permanent again. On Sereth Prime, High Marshal Tyrith Valon stood before the Grand Concord Assembly. The images behind him were sharpened, saturated, burning wreckage, bloody decks, a child's boot floating in zero gravity. They speak of memory, Valon growled. But they burn the innocent. They claim vengeance. They bring war. Earth is not reborn, it is rabid. He turned slowly, eyes locking with each delegate. And rabid dogs do not heal. They are put down. A silence followed. Uncomfortable. Fragile. Counselor Eric shifted uneasily. They've exposed our own lies, Marshal. That cannot be ignored. They killed civilians. So did we, said another. Valen's hand twitched. No more debate, he snapped. The decision has been made. Project Ashfall is live. A breath caught in the room. You're authorizing planetary annihilation? I'm authorizing survival, Valon replied. They want memory? We'll give them extinction. 2 jumps from Sereth Prime, buried in the ruins of the neutral zone station known as Vale's Spine, a man waited in a dimly lit corridor, hand resting lightly on a data crystal. He was Concord-born. Former military. Now disavowed. The door opened. Amara entered with 2 guards, but waved them back. You're Vexen. He nodded. Tall, emaciated, hollow-eyed. I saw what you did at Velker. And what they did during the quarantine. You defected? I remembered, he said, voice brittle. I remembered what they did to my brother on Mars 3. We were told it was necessary. Now I know it wasn't. He handed her the data crystal. Coordinates. Weapon systems. Access codes. Project Ashfall. They're planning to use it before you reach Sereth. Amara took it, her fingers tight. What is it? He hesitated. Planet killer. A dark matter implosion rig. Fires from subspace. Earth will blink out before it burns. She froze. Why help us? Because memory matters, Vexen said. But if you become them, then we all forget. Back on the caldera, Amara watched the decrypted files play on her command console. Schematics, subspace targeting data, a list of operation code names. Ashfall was real. And Earth was the target. Her officers waited. Captain, Ria said softly, we can still escalate. We have enough momentum. One push to Sereth Prime, and their government fractures. Amara shook her head. They'll fire at the moment we break orbit. We win the battle, we lose the planet. Then what do? We change the field. She stood, eyes flint hard. No more striking from shadows. No more whispers. We give them something they can't erase. That same night, every major system in Concord space received a transmission. Unencrypted. Public. Amara appeared on every screen, standing not in darkness, but in the full light of a Terran command deck. The Earth flag behind her was torn but visible. Her voice was unwavering. This is not a war for territory. This is a reckoning for silence. You killed our truth. You tried to forget us. But we are still here. We intercepted your final solution, Project Ashfall. A weapon built to erase our planet entirely. We will not strike first. We will not be terrorists. But if you fire on Earth, we will erase everything you ever built. This is your last choice. Your last moment to remember. Then she signed off. Sereth Prime trembled. Politicians screamed. Protests erupted again, this time not against Earth, but against the lie that Ashfall even existed. But it did. And Valon knew it. He stood in the war vault, staring at the fire control console. A single switch, encased in crystal, glowed softly. The aide beside him spoke. "Orders, sir?" He said nothing. Because the moment his finger twitched, the galaxy might never recover. The Caldera was en route to the edge of Concord space. Waiting. Watching. Inside the war room, Amara reviewed fleet readiness. If they strike, we hit Seretha's moon bases first. Then their power grid. No civilians. Just infrastructure. Her XO gave a terse nod. And if they don't fire? Then we wait. We hold the blade to their throat and hope they choose breath. She turned to leave, then stopped. Prepare a second transmission. To who? To everyone. Across the galaxy, as the Concorde stood on the edge of collapse and Earth stared down the barrel of extinction, one final message arrived. No threats. No weapons. Just words. We do not seek revenge. We seek memory. And peace, with teeth.